Hey there, YouTube, it's Petey, and Happy New Year to you and yours. I am hanging in there. Um, I had a little bit of an issue yesterday. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2016 when I was prescribed some really powerful medication that caused a hormone crash. And what that translated into for me was 4 months of being in hell. It was really bad what I experienced. Now, the last time Roger Waters came around, he told a story on the screen during one of the songs. He had text up there, and he told us a couple of different stories through text. And one of them was about how he had an experience at the Abbey Road cafeteria where he was eating, and all of a sudden it was like he was looking around the wrong end of a telescope, where there was a tiny plate and these really long arms, and he was cutting up his tiny food. And he said that he felt like he was out of his body or whatever. It was like he was thinking, "Oh, well, I finally done it. Now I've gone mad." And he went back to the studio and sat at a piano where he was playing this piano, and someone came up and said, we need you to, we're going to record a track or whatever they said. Then he was okay. So Waters describes this experience of his vision becoming distorted. I experienced that. In 2016, like I said, it was February 10th. I went to bed. I laid down and I closed my eyes eventually, and when I started drifting off, it felt like I was spinning down a tunnel. I had like this vertigo and the sense of everything dropping out from under me, and a feeling of dread. And I woke up and my heart was pounding, and all my pores opened up and I started sweating, and I ran out of the room and came in here and put the computer on, and I didn't sleep. And that was how it started. I ended up, I began to feel like I had taken a psychedelic. It felt a lot like the onset of LSD. If you've experienced that feeling in the back of your neck where it feels like your neck is, like your soul is growing bigger than your body, that feeling, I had that, but it was bad. And this was the effects of the hormone crash. My brain was no longer producing the proper chemistry, dopamine, serotonin, all that stuff that regulates our functions was dried up. So it was 4 months before I got back to normal. I don't know if you remember 2016. This was when David Bowie died. So I had been reading about Bowie a lot. And one of the things, the side track that I went off on, was Todd Rundgren's music. And I discovered the solo music and his band Utopia, which if you're not familiar with that stuff, man, Todd Rundgren was really creative and experimental, but really easy to fall in love with that music. It's some great stuff. And the story goes, he got a shoebox full of psychedelic peyote buttons. So this is mescaline, I believe. I never took mescaline or peyote. There's a movie called Young Guns, where they take it in that movie, and they're vomiting and they're all having visual hallucinations. So he described this experience of he was building his first studio to do home recording and eating this stuff like it was going out of style for about a month. And the end result is this album. It's called A Wizard, a True Star. And that is an unbelievable album. And if I hear it, I'll burst into tears. And that's because it brings me back to what I went through in 2016, which was really bad. Like it went on so long. Like I really don't like thinking about it or talking about it, and that came back yesterday. My wife, without consulting me, made a purchase of something that's called Felliway, which is, and I'm sure I would have said, yeah, get it. But I'm even more mad at her, and it gives me somebody that I can blame it on. She bought this Felliway dispenser and plugged it in. It's like 15 feet away from me, where I sit here, and it was plugged in that whole day. I was in here recording. She came in and said, I'm leaving. She went to do laundry, which I really did not want her to leave. I wanted to come with her. I wouldn't have cared if I would have had to sit in the laundromat just to get the F out of this sitting here and not doing anything. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting since Thanksgiving to get parts for this white guitar project. And it looks like that last one part that I'm waiting on is going to be coming here tomorrow or the following day. So I'll be able to move on and continue in finishing that project up, as well as working on the new album, which is happening. I had done a contest here. I had announced it. It's going to be, the theme for this year's recording sessions is I'm only going to be using bass guitars. Mind you, there's always one track that'll break the rule. Like I did an all-acoustic album. There's one track on Hokum, which is the name of the all-acoustic album, where there is a single electric guitar track. And I do that as a challenge to see if anybody pay attention and bring it up in the comments, and no one ever has. It's my little way of playing tricks with myself. Now, what happened the other day, I conked out here. I fell asleep. And this is something that I experienced just a handful of times back in 2016 when I was experiencing what I would consider to be an acute anxiety event. It was beyond a panic attack, because a panic attack it ends. This did not end. I was tripping balls for a month and a half. I could not eat. I was in fight or flight. My legs were going. I was pacing around, grinding my teeth, crying for a month and a half. And it got so unbelievably bad. I cannot tell you. I completely went nuts. I was completely fucking cooked. And it wasn't that I was crazy. It was that I was suffering. That I had what they call fear of impending doom. I was experiencing claustrophobia attacks because I could see the rim of my glasses. I cannot tell you what I went through. It was so unbelievably bad. And yesterday I passed out here, and what happened was I was out for an hour and a half napping, and a video came on which was 5-Watt World is the name of the channel. And I came to. And I don't know if this is sleep paralysis, sleep drunkenness, night terror. I don't know what I experienced, what to call it. This has happened to me a number of times back in the day. In 2016, this happened to me. The first time it happened, she was in there, she was home, she was cooking, and I passed out. And what it's like you wake up, but it takes a real long time for you to wake up. And in this process of waking up, my vision is like what Roger Waters describes of looking the wrong end down a telescope. And it slowly is moving into focus. It's slowly coming at you, real slowly. And when you wake up, you do not know who you are. You do not know where you are, but you have an incredible sense of dread. Just the most profound fear that something really bad has happened. And as your vision comes in, and it's a feeling like a drug feeling, it's like you're intoxicated. It's a really strong feeling. In the Lou Reed song Heroin, he says, when I'm rushing on my run and I feel like Jesus' son, man, it's the opposite of that. You're rushing on a run, but you don't feel like Jesus' son. You feel like shit. You feel really horrifically bad when you're experiencing one of these events. And eventually it'll all come, you'll remember. You know, I'm sitting on this couch. I'm in my apartment. I'm Petey. I'm watching 5-Watt World. And I'm tripping balls right now because something is wrong with my brain chemistry. And eventually I got up and I started pacing around. And I was walking from here into the kitchen and back, which is what I did back in 2016. And I look down and I see this fucking Felliway thing. So, of course, I looked it up, and people are saying that the Felliway has caused panic or asthma attacks. And people have had rashes. So, again, like when this happened to me the first time, it was because I was prescribed this treatment, but none of the doctors or the endocrinologists or the pros that I saw, because we were making all kinds of appointments and trying to get me in right away, no one could give me an answer. Basically it was like, well, we need to put you on all kinds of SSRIs and antipsychotic medication, and that stuff fucked me up even worse. That stuff made me gain 75 fucking pounds, and then they're like, hey, you're type 2 diabetic. Now you have to quit eating. Not now, because, we did this to you. You're fucked and you can't enjoy life. You're never going to have a glass of iced tea. You're never going to have another lemonade. Never going to have ice cream or cookies again because we fucked up. Because none of that shit that they gave me, none of it did nothing. None of those pills they gave me did anything except for more damage to my body. And like I I could not stop Googling this, trying to figure out what was going on, and I only found a handful of people that this had happened to. The one guy said he was a heroin addict and it happened to him. So I strongly feel that this is related to my pain medicine. That if I cleaned up on the pain medicine, I would be okay. Probably wouldn't happen to me again. But I ended up going to bed last night. I was really scared. I went to bed, and when I fell asleep, the same fucking thing happened. Now, it was not as intense, but it was bad. I woke my wife up and told her, I said, I'm having a panic attack, and we had to leave the bedroom, and I tried to deal with that in the ways that I deal with it, and then I went back to sleep and eventually fell asleep. Now, today, like yesterday, I had ringing in my ears and I felt really funny. I haven't, ever since this fog thing came, I haven't been, so I don't know. Is it like, and then of course this is happening at the same time when they're saying that there's clouds of sulfur dioxide everywhere. I had a weird, like a cold sore on the roof of my mouth that popped in right at the time of that sulfur dioxide. So I don't know what's going on with me. I know the endocrinologist fucking yelled at me in her office. She was a C word, is what you would call this person. A huge C word. And I was almost in tears. And like she didn't realize, like, you were my only hope. Like the past 2 weeks I've been like I can't tell you what I went through. So yeah, it was really bad, and now I'm up against this again, and I don't know. Was it? What's going to happen tonight? I don't know. I don't know. I did fall asleep here today. And when I woke up, I was fine. But then again, when this happened to me, the waking up and having, and it happened like maybe a dozen times. Okay. And there was one time when I woke up and it was so bad. I had the worst vertigo. It was like I was on a circus ride spinning. Like, it was unbelievably bad. Unbelievably bad. And eventually, like, I got up and I was holding the wall, and I came in here and I held the wall, and I just kept praying, and it stopped. So that's what's going on with me for today. I'm just absolutely terrified. I'm hoping it was a pheromone, because there was one medication that I used to take for years, and then after this happened to me, I tried taking that medication, and it triggered the same thing. So I stopped taking that medication. Then there was a new medicine that was prescribed to me to combat the diabetes, that they gave me that, and the same thing happened. And when I looked up that medicine, there was a woman that said they put me on this stuff, and every night when I go to bed, I wake up and I'm like, I can't stop crying, and my husband has to drive me around at 3 a.m. because it's the only thing that helps. And if my wife would remember, I used to say, please get me out of here, and we would go in the car and we would go somewhere, and that would help to get out of the house. So I don't know. I started thinking, is there black mold or something in this building? Is that what's going on? I don't know. It's just very frustrating that it seems like my life that I'm like teetering on the edge of this shit now. Since it happened to me, it's like at any minute, any little thing can set it off. Like, my wife got this Felliway, which is a pheromone. It's a pheromone diffuser. It's like a Glade has a product called Plug-ins, and it's for pet owners that own felines, and it has a cat hormone or pheromone, some kind of this stuff that they secrete out of their cheek glands, where they come up and they'll rub on you. That's because they want this scent on you. And for some cats that are experiencing behavioral difficulties, or like if they won't eat, you can bring this stuff into your house and it'll, in some cases, it will solve issues for the cat. And other issues, the cats freak out and they stop eating and they hide. And then the people have to unplug it, and a couple weeks later, eventually the cat's finally okay. So that Felliway thing, like, you got to be ready. If you're going to buy it and you're going to plug it into your house, you have to be ready to understand if it goes south, to identify what the problem is and fucking unplug it, put it in a Ziploc bag, and open the doors up and air the place fucking out is what you need to do. If you have any decency, that's what you'll do for your loved ones. You air the fucking place out. I don't care if you got to open the doors and stand there. Get some fucking fresh air into the apartment as soon as possible. Right? I mean, wouldn't that be like the most basic, common thing you could think to do? So, send whatever goodwill, or if you pray, please pray for me, please. This really sucks. It really sucks. And like, this time of the year, I didn't even think about it. And here we go. January 4th this time. So I should be out of the water if, you know, I'm guessing if everything returns to normal, I should be out of the water with this in about a week and a half. But I've got some food I got to eat here. I'm going to be doing another video today. I'm going to be doing a recommend video for a YouTube channel that I found, but I didn't want to have all this personal stuff where I'm, because I know most people are going to click off of it as soon as I start talking about health problems. But I'm sorry, having this camera is part of how I decompress some of my issues. I find coming on here and talking about it is helpful for me to feel better about it, and I could care less who watches it. But that's not to say who doesn't watch it. If you do choose to watch it, then I do care. I do, and I thank you, and it means a lot to me that people would do something like that. But so there's been a lot of times that I don't even upload it. I'll just film it, and then I'll think, well, I feel better now. Do I really want to upload all that ranting or whatever it was, pity party, you know? Because people look at it that way. People don't want to hear you talking about a health problem. And I don't blame people for that reaction. But when you have something like this where the doctors won't help you, not only will they not help you, but they refuse to take your call, which was the guy who prescribed it to me. And I went and did a request to get my records back, which was not easy task. And then I boogied. I split. I found another pain clinic that would dispense the pain medication that I need, which was not an easy thing for me to do. But it ended up working out way better that I made the switch. I'm happy at this new pain clinic, and it's not a 4-hour drive like the last place was. Having to go through the hood, you know. So that's the frustrating part about it, is when I did get to go see a specialist, she was a C word. She was just like, well, you know, because her thing was, I said, I'm having these symptoms, and I'm convinced that it's because I was prescribed medication that fucks with your hormones. And she said, I prescribed that same medication, and I've never seen this as a side effect. And it's like, well, did you ever have a guy that was on this much pain medicine for as long as I have been taking it? Because I've been taking the same dose of pain medicine for an unbelievably long time. And I believe that's what it relates to. So, yeah, she wouldn't even hear it. She was just like, she was like threatening to put me on some kind of red list because I supposedly raised my voice at her, which was about what I just did right now. The same reaction, and it was like I had really stepped over a boundary, you know. So that's the worst part of it, is just like, okay, I can sit here and Google this, but the people that are in charge of that stuff, they will not address the really bad side effects. When people report the really bad side effects, it's covered up. And that's the most unfortunate part of it. There's
Maybe they have a visitor with a baby.
no, it's their baby.
I thought they only had one kid.
He fucking lied to me. They when
Are you still recording?
Yeah, I am. When the other day he had the door open, there was a like a wind up thing. Ding 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 ding.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We have new neighbors, and the guy lied to me. He told me that they have a 5-year-old girl. They have an infant too.
I mean, it's no big deal, but what are you
Well,
lying for? What are you lying about it then?
He would not stop drilling me. He asked me if I drank alcohol. He asked me about my wife and her car, and if we only had one car, because there's an extra spot. And I've run into these Asian people that are like this, and I cannot fucking stand them. There's a certain type of Asian person, I don't know what nationality it is, but they're the most rude fucking people, and manipulative. I worked with a guy who was real cocky like that, and I spoke my opinion because I know about the subject he was talking about. And he called me out on it, and then he was like, fine, then you can come over and fix my computer. And I had to go over there, and he had a whole rat fuck of a problem that I ended up going, and I fixed it. I had to go over there. I had to bring my daughter because I didn't have a babysitter, and so she sat in the with the grandma and watched cartoons, and they were trying to feed her some crab nostril hairs or something that they had cooked. And this guy, he was one of the worst people that I ever met in my life, and now, you know, this is the same thing. We've got somebody living next door. So my plan of attack is I'm just not talking to him. I'm not talking to him. And I'll tell him. I'll just say something like, you know, when we met, you asked me a lot of stuff that, like, I really wasn't comfortable with you asking me. So I think we're going to, you know, I'm going to choose to keep private from here out with you. Meaning, I'll smile and I'll wave at you, but you're not getting anything out of me after this. Because when I told him, he immediately went in his apartment, and because he would not stop drilling me, trying to get info out of me. And when I explained what I did, because he would not stop drilling me about it, he went in and started getting broken electronics and handing me power supplies and stuff for me to repair for him. So, and the thing he gave me, there was four wires on the end of a phone cord. It was a plug-in power supply for a radar detector. There was a 1/4 inch stripped back where all of the connectors were touching each other. So the thing was fried. And I did replace the transistor, and it didn't light up after I replaced the transistor. So I brought it all back into the hallway and said, I can't fix this for you, you know. Anyway, you guys, that's what's going on with me. I got to do another video today, so I'm going to cut you guys loose. This one went a little longer than I would have hoped to. But I wanted to get that off my chest because I'm just scared. I'm terrified. So hopefully, you know, if it was the Felliway, it's problem solved. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Hug your pets, and peace.